Right now, in-person absentee voting gets underway in Wisconsin. What you need to know if you want to cast your ballot ahead of Election Day.
Plus, for most, voting is as simple as going to your polling location. But what about those who are in jail? A closer look at the obstacles the incarcerated must go through to vote.
And later, the trial of Darrell Brooks could soon be in the hands of the jury as both sides give their closing arguments. Welcome to News 3 Now at 6. Between libraries, parks, and even botanical gardens, voters in Madison have a lot of options when it comes to where they want to vote over the next couple of weeks. And Madison is offering more than 30 sites for in-person absentee voting, which began today.
But not every community has as many choices. Andrew Banstra spoke with Madison's mayor and the county clerk today, and he has what you need to know. Andrew?
Madison has 32 polling places for in-person absentee voting. Many of those open today, with a lot of people in line 2 weeks from today as the election gets going. Dane County's clerk encourages you to take advantages of the options at your disposal.
Dane County's clerk would like you to vote in every election, but the midterms especially.
You know, these are the elections that really matter. The turnout will be a little bit lower. Your vote matters that much more. We are a state that has consistently had these races decided by a few thousand votes.
To help, in-person absentee voting open today across Wisconsin. Madison has dozens of sites, but other municipalities in Dane County don't necessarily.
If you live in a village or a township, you're going to want to go to your town hall, your village hall, so you can't just go anywhere in the county. In Madison, it's a little different in that they have their early voting in the libraries. So if you live on the west side but work on the east side, you can go to any library in the city and vote.
Clerk Scott McDonald says absentee voting by mail is fine, but if you want to ensure that there are no issues, in-person absentee is an even better bet.
I urge people to vote in-person absentee because we've seen a lot of voters making mistakes on their envelopes, so they may fill out part of it wrong or leave something blank. And if you go in person to vote early, someone can catch that and correct it.
In Madison, ballot drop boxes are no longer an option. Still, Mayor Sadia Rhodes-Conway is confident in the system's ability to protect your vote.
Those ballots are locked up until Election Day, and they get delivered to the polling places on Election Day, and those ballots are actually run the same as any ballot that would be cast on Election Day. They're actually run through the machines right there on Election Day.
And if in-person absentee isn't for you, Rhodes-Conway reminds us there's always the traditional option, voting day of. And just like with in-person absentee voting, you can register on the spot.
Don't forget to bring your ID, and don't forget that you can actually register. Up until November 4th, you can register at an early voting site if you bring proof of residence, and you can, of course, register to vote on Election Day at the polls.
More than 1,000 people casted in-person ballots in Madison as early as 2 p.m. today, and over 250,000 total absentee ballots have been cast statewide, leading up to in-person voting. For more information, please head to myvote.wi.gov.
Andrew, thank you. Governor Evers in Madison today encouraging people to vote early, and he wasn't alone. Other Democrats held similar events all across the state. This is actually just the first of a handful of events for Democrats this week in the state of Wisconsin. Tomorrow, Elizabeth Warren will be on campus talking to students, followed by Pete Buttigieg hosting an LGBTQ event on campus. Then on Saturday, former President Barack Obama will be stumping for Democrats in Milwaukee. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, Senator Ron Johnson, he held his own event rallying supporters to get out the vote. And tomorrow, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin will stump for Tim Michels at an event in Waukesha.
And let's check your certified most accurate forecast with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canolti.
Well, it's raining in the backyard, but it's a very light rain and should gradually end later on this evening. As we look at visible cloud track, you can see plenty of clouds today, although the far western parts of our viewing area did have a little bit of sunshine mixed in. But you can see the rain, basically you draw a northeast to southwest line right through the middle of our viewing area, and areas to the south and east saw rain for much of the day, and areas to the north and west didn't see much at all. You can see on high resolution Doppler radar the back edge of the rain from just west of Darlington to around Sauk City up toward Westfield. West of there, very little if any rain falling, but pretty steady rain east of Madison. But notice with time, 6-hour future track radar takes it off to the east and gradually breaks it up. So I think by by midnight, most areas will see the rain come to an end. High temperatures were early this morning. Madison was at 65 degrees. Farther out to the west, those areas are already behind a cold front, and they were in the 50s and 40s. Right now, temperatures low 40s where it's raining. To the west, it's actually a couple degrees warmer, but skies are still cloudy. Across Dane County right now, 43 in Madison, 45 in Middleton, 45 in Verona, and also 45 in Mount Horeb. Look for mostly cloudy skies this evening. Temperatures holding nearly steady in the low to mid 40s with some off and on showers. But again, those should end around midnight. Much better weather arrives tomorrow. I'll have more on how mild it will get and when the next chance of rain will be in just a few minutes.
Ahead of Election Day, people are constantly being told to go out and vote. But for thousands sitting in jails across Wisconsin, it's not that simple.
Our Tahlil Mohadeen explains how casting a ballot while incarcerated but not a felon comes with big barriers.
It's a question not often asked of the thousands behind bars and jails across Wisconsin.
No one is coming to you and saying, hey, who do you think should be in office this year?
Anthony Cooper with the Nehemiah Center works a lot with the people inside Dane County Jail. He says locked up shouldn't mean locked out of voting. Most people awaiting trial or serving misdemeanor sentences have the right to vote. But Cooper says jails don't make it easy.
Some of it is sometimes for some people, they didn't know that they even had an option, that they could vote.
You're talking about people who, in many cases, are not there because they've been convicted of a crime. At that point, you know, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. According to the ACLU, roughly 32 of Wisconsin's 72 jails have brief and vague inmate voting policies, and at least 18, including Dane and Columbia County, have no written policy at all. Others in our area, the Rock and Iowa County jails, rely on policies the ACLU classifies as non-specific. Those policies don't answer questions like what address to use if you're homeless, deadlines for voting absentee, or how to get a duplicate ID from the DMV.
Well, our practices are key.
Sheriff Calvin Barrett says despite not having a policy in place, the Dane County Sheriff's Office has taken steps to educate inmates about how to register and vote absentee. He says unlike other county jails, which only inform inmates of their voter eligibility at intake or by request, they take education a step further.
Our ultimate goal is to eliminate the barriers that people face while incarcerated so that they can exercise their constitutional rights to vote.
Besides regular messages on inmate talents about the voting process, the jail has also partnered since the spring with members of the Dane County Voter ID Coalition. They help set up one-on-ones with interested eligible voters.
I want people who are in the jail, maybe because they have made a mistake, to feel like they can rejoin society as a productive member of our community. And if they feel like they have a voice in government, you know, maybe that helps them do that. Julia Gilden with the coalition says the biggest barrier eligible voters in Wisconsin jails face is having access to an acceptable voter ID. For folks who don't have a valid ID on the day that they're incarcerated, or who maybe, you know, lose that in the process of their arrest or some other circumstance. For their part, the Dane County Jail works with family and friends on the outside when possible to get inmates copies of their IDs. For those without that option, going to the DMV to get one isn't a choice they can make. They're totally disenfranchised.
The ACLU estimates of the thousands eligible to vote, only 50 people in jails across the whole state of Wisconsin submitted a ballot in 2020. To learn more about how other jails in our area manage inmate voting and what it would take to set up a polling location in jail, you can head to our website, channel3000.com.
The jury in the Darrell Brooks trial could potentially start deliberations as soon as this evening. Today, the state and Brooks delivered their closing arguments after jury instructions finished this morning. The prosecution largely focused on intent. District Attorney Sue Opper says evidence shows this was an intentional act for Brooks and a disregard for human life. She says he and he alone had the power to stop this, but didn't. As for Brooks, he clashed again with Judge Jennifer Dorough over courtroom decorum. She reminded him to base his closing argument on the law, but he said he wanted to remind the jury of what he calls the truth and its duty to him.
Just stop driving. That's it. It's really that simple. Not one person had to be hurt that day if he would have just stopped driving.
So, Mr. Brooks, you forfeited your right to be present for the state's closing argument. Your Honor,
you will be taken to the courtroom next door, and I will invite you back over when it's time for your closing arguments.
You can't invite me back over. I can reclaim my right. So how can you invite me to do anything?
The courtroom is to be cleared so that Mr. Brooks can be removed to the next courtroom.
Judge Doro will allow the jury to decide if they want to start deliberating after closing arguments or wait until tomorrow morning. Brooks is accused of killing 6 people by driving an SUV through a Christmas parade last year. He faces 76 charges, including 6 intentional homicide counts. Each homicide count carries a life sentence. Coming up, you'll want to double-check the breakfast sausage in your cupboard, why a specific brand is now being recalled.
And hospitals reaching near capacity as RSV cases spike across the country. This as we also approach flu season, what parents need to be aware of.
Looking at mattresses?
I'm just looking.
Jump on it, roll on it.
No.
Just pretend I'm not here. You have any questions?
Buying a mattress can be uncomfortable.
She seemed nice.
That's why Slumberland has modernized the process. Slumberland. Mattress shopping reinvented.
Radical Tim Michaels is extremely divisive.
I don't care who I offend.
And at his company, the culture comes from the top. Multiple court filings say women were sexually assaulted, harassed, and pressured to have sex with their bosses.
If she refused demands for sex, she would be blackballed from working on a pipeline job.
Higher-ups dismissed the women as liars and fired those who spoke out.
I don't care who I offend.
That's how Tim Michaels runs his company. Don't let him run our state.
There's nothing like hitting the waves.
There's nothing like volunteering, but my moderate to severe eczema can make it hard.
Now, I'm staying ahead of it.
Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, so you can have clearer skin and noticeably less itch. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about Dupixent.
It was Halloween. My daughter stopped at 3 homes, her girlfriend's house, her teacher's house, and the man that murdered her. He molested her and he put her in a garbage bag. He was going to be released in 2018. Josh called. He was not there for me at all. You want some help to find out what's going on, and he doesn't help. He don't care about the victims. I know Eric Toney does. Eric Toney helped keep that man that murdered my daughter from being released. Eric Toney's always been there for me, and that's the kind of attorney general we need.
Right now at Slumberland Furniture, you'll get 30% off all living room furniture. Yup, sofas, sectionals, tables, recliners, and more. All 30% off. Plus 30% off select mattresses and 20% off everything else. On now at Slumberland Furniture.
Welcome back. Hospitals are filling up across the nation as a rash of respiratory infections spreads. The Department of Health and Human Services says more pediatric hospital beds are filled now than they have been since 2020. Officials say RSV, the flu, and enterovirus cases are high, and it's causing many medical facilities to be overwhelmed. Public health officials are advising parents to keep their children as protected as possible from respiratory infections by making sure their kids are vaccinated and also take steps to prevent the spread of germs. Now, earlier on News 3 Now at 4, UW Health's Dr. Jeff Pothoff sat down to discuss the possibility of a triple-demic involving RSV, COVID, and the flu. He says vaccination is key to helping out hospitals.
Vaccination will keep volumes down so that we have a better chance of having room in the hospital for everyone who does come down with flu that needs to be admitted, or COVID or RSV, but also for other things that people need to be admitted for, whether it's, heart disease or stroke or things that we see right now. So getting vaccinated is doing your part to make sure that there's capacity for people in our hospitals when they get sick.
It was Dr. Pothoff on Live at 4 today. He also says for most people between the ages of 2 and 65, RSV should not be an issue. Right now, there is no vaccine for RSV.
Be cautious before you make your next breakfast. Bob Evans Farms is recalling more than 7,500 pounds of its Italian pork sausage. Officials say the sausage might be contaminated with pieces of blue rubber. The affected products are 1-pound containers of Bob Evans Italian sausage with a use-by date of November 26th. Consumers are advised to return the sausage to the place of purchase or just throw it out. More information is available on the USDA's website. Still ahead, what a new report from Greenpeace is saying about recycling plastics.
Plus, rebuilding America's forests, a massive undertaking, and how officials plan to do it.
Plus, cold and wet today, but what about the rest of the week? Gary's back with the complete forecast when we come back.
I'm Mandela Barnes, and I approve this message.
All units, all units. Reports of an abortion at Central Hospital. Officers needed to detain doctor.
If Ron Johnson has his way, he wouldn't just ban abortions. Doctors could go to jail for it. And Johnson's tried for over a decade. He even co-sponsored a bill with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the woman, and said if women don't like an abortion ban, they can just move. But it's Ron Johnson who doesn't belong in Wisconsin.
At Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we make it easy to get ready for winter. We're the cold weather experts, offering the gear and supplies you need to combat the cold, snowy weather ahead, all at fair and honest prices. Like 30% off zero-exposure coats for the family. Tamarack winter boots are buy one, get one half off. 50-foot yellow jacket extension cords, just $44.99. And this Comfort Zone cabinet heater, only $129.99. Plus, assorted pet supplements are 25% off.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
He made $57 million from a family business whose growth was directly linked to China. His dad worked the third shift in an auto plant. Johnson pushed tax breaks benefiting himself and his millionaire donors. Barnes will cut taxes for the middle class. Johnson would let states ban nearly all abortions. Barnes will protect our rights. Ron Johnson's extreme and out for himself. Mandela Barnes works for us. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
You protected our rights, preserved our freedom. You may have even risked your life for us. Now, it's our turn to fight for you. Your local Wisconsin emergency, energy, and housing assistance providers, and the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund reward the service of our veterans with rental and energy support in their time of crisis. Apply today to get the fresh start you've earned.
For Clinton Anderson, our community is his top priority. He's delivered for middle-class families on the Beloit City Council, and he'll keep fighting to lower costs for us in the Assembly. Jeff Klett's priorities are all wrong. He supports dismantling our public schools, wants to slash community services to give tax breaks to his billionaire backers, and he'll vote with extreme Republicans to enforce Wisconsin's abortion ban, which could send doctors to prison. We can't afford Jeff Klett.
As the deforestation crisis reaches its breaking point in America, officials are rolling out a massive and ambitious plan to replant more than 1 billion new trees across the nation.
But how exactly do they plan to tackle this monumental environmental task? Well, here's a hint. It involves you. Jeremy Roth explains.
The annual arrival of autumn colors across the land is a reminder not only of the living beauty of America's forests, but also the vulnerability of this natural resource, which now more than ever is fighting for its very survival. Wildfires are responsible for the destruction of millions of acres of forested land in the U.S. It's a problem that David Lytle of the U.S. Forest Service says has reached a breaking point.
We are facing a wildfire crisis in the U.S. Wildfires are growing in both size and intensity. They're becoming more difficult to fight, and as a result of wildfires and our limited resources, we end up with a backlog of about 5 million acres of land on National Forest System lands that are in need of reforestation.
Now, seeds of hope in the form of federal legislation called the Replant Act that couldn't have come at a more pivotal time. The bipartisan act not only delivers a much-needed infusion of funds and resources, but also sets an ambitious goal of planting and regenerating more than 1 billion new trees on U.S. soil over the next decade.
Replant has been a game changer and is really going to allow us to address the wildland fire risk issues, to address climate change, and to address our reforestation backlog.
But more than 1 billion trees? How exactly is a monumental task like that executed?
We will be expanding our operations, hiring new people, and doing more work on the ground. Moving forward is going to take collaboration, cooperation, and partnership.
So what can the rest of us do to help?
You can plant a tree in your own yard. You can work with your community to help plant trees in communities. You can work with nonprofit organizations. You can volunteer. All of us have a role to play in reforestation.
I'm Jeremy Roth, reporting.
And recycling plastics has become a losing battle. That's the conclusion of a new report from Greenpeace. The environmental group says most plastic simply cannot be recycled. The report found U.S. households generated about 51 million tons of plastic waste last year, but only 2.4 million tons was recycled. Researchers say the solution is to dramatically reduce the production and use of plastics. Wet, a little cooler today, then things will look to dry up tomorrow. Here's Gary, a complete look at your forecast.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. We're going to warm back up once we get some sunshine in, and then temperatures will be above normal by the end of the week and into the weekend. It was unseasonably mild yesterday. We didn't set a record high temperature, but we did set a record for the warmest low temperature. Low temperature yesterday dropped to 62 degrees in Madison. That broke the old record of 60 degrees set back in 2012. So our average high temperature is in the mid-50s. That just kind of gives you an idea how mild it has been in the last few days. Three things you need to know in the forecast. Once the rain clears out tonight, we're back to sunny, breezy, and cool conditions tomorrow. High temperatures will top out in the lower 50s for tomorrow. Then we'll see dry weather not only for tomorrow, but the rest of this week and probably through at least the first half of next week, if not even a little bit longer than that. Mild weather returns with high temperatures near or above 60 degrees beginning on Friday and lasting through the weekend and through all of next week, at least through Friday. High-resolution Doppler radar, the back edge of the rain has pretty much stayed in the same area for the last few hours. So from Madison and Dane County on toward the east, it's been a steady light rain. To the west of Dane County, for the most part, it's been dry. There have even been a few breaks in the clouds, but for the most part, it's mostly cloudy. You can see the southern edge of this heavier area of more persistent rain just lifting northeastward. So with time, the eastward progression and the northward progression will serve to put an end to the rain from Madison on toward the east. I think by midnight, most of it should be over with. Again, you look at 6-hour future track radar. By the end of the loop, that's just around midnight, and that pretty much brings the rain eastward toward Milwaukee. But this surge of rain is because of strong southerly winds aloft, producing some severe weather on a squall line down to the south. But this storm system will start weakening as it pushes toward the north and east, and the jet stream kind of flattens out. So mild Pacific air moves in. We don't see a return to that northerly wind flow that we saw when we were chilly early last week. But a cold front has come through, a second one to the north and west. We're kind of in between, but notice the back edge of the clouds here too. Where there has been some sunshine, temperatures did make it in the 50s. Underneath the cloud cover, temperatures mainly in the lower to middle 40s. Actually, a couple degrees warmer out to the west where the rain has at least come to an end. Look for skies to be mostly cloudy. It'll be cooler overnight with showers gradually coming to an end. Low temperature dropping to 40. Planning your night, temperatures lower 40s. Pretty steady through the evening. That back edge of the rain starting to move off to the east. Notice the sky is starting to break up, especially as we head after midnight. That will allow temperatures to drop into the 30s for our western viewing area. The clouds keeping temperatures at or above 40 overnight from Madison on toward the east. Rainfall amounts a tenth to a quarter of an inch at most across areas east of Dane County. For tomorrow, we're back to sunshine. It'll be breezy and cool with a high of 53 in the 7 to 10 day forecast. 56 Thursday, 59 Friday. Upper 50s to lower 60s for the weekend. Halloween looking nice, highs lower 60s. Chances for rain toward the end of next week. The highest chances of rain, though, probably toward next weekend.
And coming up in sports, it's Tuesday, which means the MVP is joining the Pat McAfee Show once again. What he has to say about how his team has been performing, that's coming up next.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Some ideas seem good, but aren't.
These guys will buy our house without even seeing it.
Online buyers make offers that seem attractive at first, only to lower or cancel at the last minute. We Buy Ugly Houses won't reduce or cancel our firm cash offers before closing. Call or click to sell quick.
Democrats defunded and dispirited our police, creating the worst crime wave in decades. Biden spent us into 40-year high inflation, drove gas prices to record levels, and opened our borders, causing a flood of illegal immigrants and deadly drugs. Mandela Barnes supports all the policies causing you and your family so much pain. He will rubber stamp their liberal agenda. Mandela Barnes sides with radical leftists, not with you.
I'm Ron Johnson, and I approve this message.
Keep bragging about your buck after the hunt with wild game processing from Johnson's Sausage Shop in Ryle, Wisconsin. Friends enjoy a hunting story more over a jalapeno cheddar stick. Johnson's Sausage Shop accepts wild game 7 days a week. First bucks in are the first brats out.
It's a great time for your next appliance upgrade with 11% off everything going on now at Menards. Transform your home with top appliance brands including KitchenAid, Maytag, Whirlpool, Amana, and Criterion. Upgrade your home with quality, energy-efficient appliances from Menards. We offer the lowest prices with the largest in-stock appliance selection ready to take home today. Get 11% off your entire appliance upgrade now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
I'll never forget January 6th, watching my fellow law enforcement officers defending the Capitol, defending our freedoms, defending democracy, and then 5 officers died. But Ron Johnson is making excuses for rioters who tried to overthrow our government, even calling them peaceful protests. Johnson defended Donald Trump's lies and even supported efforts to make it harder for some people to vote at all. Senator Johnson's just not for us.
And Citizens United is responsible for the content of this ad.
Some ideas seem good, but aren't.
Maybe these guys will buy our house.
What could go wrong?
Like rookie home buyers who can lower or cancel offers without notice. We Buy Ugly Houses won't reduce or cancel our firm cash offers before closing. Call or click to sell quick.
Your kids can have fun exploring nature at a free event right here in the 608.
Tomorrow I'm live at Indian Lake County Park with a preview.
Plus, how soon do we get rid of all of this rain and a warming trend on the way? That's tomorrow morning from 4:30 to 7.
In Aaron Rodgers' eyes, the team keeps making too many mental mistakes and errors. I mean, he's been saying it since the Packers lost their first game of the season, and especially now since they're on their worst stretch since 2018. The MVP breaking it down on the Pat McAfee show earlier, saying that the team went from just making a few mistakes here and there to almost double-digit per game. And with those obviously adding up, Rodgers thinks it's time to change things up.
You know, guys who are making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing. You know, we gotta start cutting some reps, and maybe guys who aren't playing, give them a chance. We're gonna see. We made some changes, you know, last week. We're doing some things, and there'll be more opportunities for other guys, like moving forward too, especially with our injury situation.
Packers are now turning their focus to Sunday night, where they're going to face the Bills in Buffalo in primetime. Kickoff is set for 7:20. And don't forget to tune into this week's Badger Blueprint. Zach and Jim Polzine will talk John Torchio's standout performance, plus what the team is focusing on as they head into their bye week. The Blueprint airs tomorrow night during News 3 Now at 10. Just one more day until the Big Ten's top 2 volleyball teams meet in what is also a rematch of last year's national championship. Top-ranked Nebraska comes to the Fieldhouse tomorrow night to face 5th-ranked Wisconsin. No doubt it's going to be the Badgers' toughest test of the season so far. Huskers come in with just 1 loss on an 11-match win streak and undefeated in conference play. They're also holding opponents to the lowest hitting percentage in the nation, and that's something that's jumping off the page to Kelly Sheffield.
What I'm seeing right now, this is one of the better defensive teams that I've ever seen. I mean, they are really, really good defensively and consistent defensively. We've got a really good offensive team, but we haven't been. Our offense won't be as tested as what it will be this week. And can we find a way to consistently score against that team?
Again, the match is set for tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse. First serve is at 8. And what a weekend for Badger men's hockey. They swept a top 10 team for their first 2 wins of the season. Jared Moe earns a Big Ten second star for his play against Minnesota Duluth. The goalie saved 73 of 75 shots and posted his 2nd career shutout Saturday night. Badgers are home this weekend, hosting Penn State.
Jordan, thank you. Gary's seen some great shots of a sunset tonight out there.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the WISC-TV sky cam. Just a little bit of sun out on the western horizon. It's still raining around here.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Producer now at 6.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.